A part of Raid Shadow Legends that every player has come to accept in the game is that we are going to get duplicate champions from the summoning portal, just like any other gacha game out there. Pulling Ancient, Void or Sacred Shard will not always give you the champion that you're looking for. It might give you duplicate champions. So in this video, I wanted to take a look at some duplicate champions that will serve you in the game. Those ones where you pull them and you're not that mad about it. Instead, you're a little bit happy and excited to actually get duplicates of those champions because they will actually be useful in the game, not just throw away the second version or use it as Guardian Ring or Faction Guardians. So that's not the purpose of this video. We know that everybody's looking for duplicates because of Faction Guardians, but we don't want duplicates for this purpose. We are looking for duplicates that we're actually going to build up immediately we get them and put into our teams. And I'll show you where I use these champions actually in my account when I actually get them, or the ones I have received so far. Alright, in no particular order. I will not be going in through my inventory so we don't begin to scroll everywhere looking for them. We'll check them out through the index instead. The first one on my list is Vogoth. He's from the Undead Hordes faction over here, and most of them from this list you already know what they do, but bear with me for those players who are coming into the game newly. Let's just get them up to speed. If you get a duplicate of Vogoth, don't get mad. Instead, even if you get 3 Vogoths, still don't get pissed, because there are places where they make the boss run so easy, or they make the battle extremely easy. Having 2 Vogoths means that you will heal up a lot of the damage you're taking, and if you don't know already, that's the passive. When attacked, places a leech, that's okay, but if the attacker is under provoke, no, that's not the passive I'm looking for. It's this one. Whenever this champion is attacked, heals all allies by 50% of the damage received. So imagine doing him damage and then he heals all allies. So if you have 2 Vogoths on the team, it's not one of those ones where they say if there are 2 on the team, it happens only once. There is no such condition for this champion. If there are 2 Vogoths on the team, one of them will do a 50% heal, the second one will do a 50% heal of the damage received for individual Vogoths. So that's why people even build 3 of them. The best place I can think of where this champion is being abused right now is the Dreadhorn. I think that's his name. This boss in the Doom Tower that explodes bombs. Yeah, the Dreadhorn. So that's the best place that Vogoth is currently being abused right now for teams that can do an auto run in this battle. Not these ones where we are currently doing it as a one-man team. So if you do not want to build a single-man team to beat it, for higher levels especially, players at hard 90 are building 3 Vogoths to beat him with 2 Geomancer or 1. I've seen a lot of different builds. So that's the best place to use him, not just for this boss. Any other content that you find that is difficult, that you want to just click auto and walk away, those Vogoths will not die, except they have heal reduction on them or something, or they got stunned. Even if they get stunned, they're still going to take a turn. So that's the first one on the list, a Vogoth. If you have 2, you will eventually build them up. If I receive a Vogoth right now from next event or whatever, he will be my next champion that I take to 60 instantly. That's why I put him number 1 on the list. He's not supposed to be number 1 because the second champion I need the most is from the Skinwalkers faction, a duplicate of Tauros. I already have a 1 copy of this champion. He's doing a great job for me, but if you have a duplicate of him, it just makes your team extremely easier. So what does it bring to the team that makes him okay to have duplicates of this champion? This skill, right? Poisons, yes. Any champion that places 4 poisons, basically you find a lot of them on this list, is a champion you need duplicates of. Especially if you have a poison explosion champion that is going to take advantage of their duplicates. Now, if you do not have somebody like a Xavier or somebody like a Eleanor, you don't need duplicates of these poison champions. 1 of them will be okay. So for now, I need duplicates of him because I have a poison explosion champion. Without a poison explosion champion, there will be no need for you to build 2 Tauros or 2 of these other ones I will list on this. So his skill that is placing 2 poisons for 2 turns. The strange thing about this skill is that he takes his health to 0. He sacrifices his entire health, although he places unkillable on himself before he does that. So that's where he's useful, I guess, and I look forward to getting a second one so I don't have to build a legendary version that places 4 poisons also. So the next one on the list is Coldheart. I'm not going to talk about the rest of the poisoners yet. Let's just go straight to the other ones because it's important also. Now, the Taros, I didn't explain much where you use him, but when you have a double poison explosion champion like Xavier and all that, I'm sure you're going to use them in all your dungeon content. I'm talking about Dragon, talking about Fire Knight, I'm talking about even Ice Golem. They explode the entire waves and get to the boss faster. That's the whole point of using them. If you've seen my video where I built my own 25 dragon team, you'll see I'm currently using that Taros, and I don't nuke the waves entirely because I don't have 8 poisons. I have 6 poisons which Xavier explodes. But imagine having 8 poisons for her. It would entirely destroy the enemies without any one of them surviving, except you have a weak hit with RNG or get resisted. All right, the next one on my list I said is Coldheart. She's from the Dark Elves faction. Now, originally when I get this champion, the first one is always difficult to get. Your first Coldheart, she's a rare champion. We all know what this champion does. Extremely nukes hard with our A3 ability, which also depletes or decreases the turn meter by 100% on the enemy that she hits. But a lot of people use double Coldheart, especially for the spider. Now, I need her for the spider. So I currently built one so far. I've not built a second one. So while your HP burn champions are doing work on the spiderlings, your second Coldheart and your first Coldheart can make sure the turn meter of the spider stays down and his HP keeps goes down also, not just damage through what do they call it, HP burns. She also do a lot of damage. Even if the spider 25 battles, their Coldheart hits are nerfed, yes, you can do a lot of damage according to the restriction that is placed. I think it's 10% of the HP of the boss per hit. You still can do a lot of damage, especially when you have her in the reflex set or something that makes her get turns again a lot faster. So I'm looking forward to building a second Coldheart right now because I do not have a second Coldheart. My spider team is not yet doing like a less than 1 minute. I'm still doing a 3 minutes spider 25 run. Although I have all the best HP burn champions, Mordecai, I have Prince Kaima who can do a reset. I have all that, but because I've not built a second Coldheart, I don't have my 25 spider team yet. I'm looking forward to building that one yet. But she's the next champion. I do have the Coldheart. It's not like I'm waiting for it. I just haven't built her yet. So that's the skill that makes it possible, especially when you have a reset champion that can make her hit again. So I don't have it yet. And the next one on my list is Allure. She's from the Demon Spawn. So if you have a Coldheart, a second copy, keep it. Allure also, it's not known for damage. This champion is best known for her turn meter control on the A1. This champion is not restricted to the spider. She's not restricted to the dragon. She's a general content champion. Why I know this is because there are some waves in Doom Tower that you do not want them to take a turn. There are some waves in the, what do you call it, faction wars, you do not want them to take a turn. If you have double Allures in there, your enemies will never take a turn. Although I know the A1 only hits 3 random targets, but I'll tell you, if you have 2 Allures in that team, they'll be hitting random targets. You feel like the Allures do not target, right? You feel like they don't target, they just hit randomly. They actually do. For some reason, there are sometimes when I just go in with the second one, she hits the turn meter of the other ones that was not hit by the first one. So it's random, we know. But 2 Allures make sure that your enemy's turn meter stay down. I'm thinking of this Fire Knight in case you don't have a Coldheart. Build a second Allure. This A1 will make sure the Fire Knight doesn't put his shield up. If you're having difficulty in the Doom Tower, build a second Allure. Take them in and then take your decrease defense champion and nuke us in. Your 2 Allures will make sure that your enemies don't take a turn. All you have to do is make sure they have enough speed. That's all Allure needs. And I guess I don't think she even needs accuracy. She's extremely squishy, so making sure the enemies don't take a turn will give you enough time to kill them. So build her with speed and she will help you a lot. So that's a champion that I actually have 2 of, and I've built the second one to level 50. I don't think you even need to take the second one to 60, if I'm being honest. But if you need it for higher content or they are dying, I guess 60 is fine. But I'll keep the second one at 50. Even the Coldheart, you can leave the second one at 50 to do the job. The next champion I have on my list is a legendary champion, Calvalax from the Knight Revs faction. a champion I do not have that I'm looking forward to getting. He was recently released, I guess, and he's a legendary champion. Where is it? Cavalax, yes. There was a 10x once for him, right? Or a guaranteed champion event, and I didn't really look at him like it was that important. I thought it's just a poisoner. But now that I'm building endgame teams that need a champion that can place 4 poisons, he's another champion that can do that. He does that on a passive. It's not an active skill, which makes him able to actually do more in the battle with his other skills after the passive is placed. So places 4 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns at the start of each round. This is so awesome. So he can even place more when he takes a turn after placing this passive. A champion that is awesomely built and looks like he's actually emitting poison from his shield and all that. So I'm looking forward to getting this champion. If I have a double Taros or a double Cavalax or a double the next one I'm going to need, I don't need all of them to be double, right? A double Taros will mean I don't need a double Cavalax. A double Cavalax will mean I don't need a double Taros. So it's all interchangeable. Any of them you need for this role can serve that purpose. It's not like it must be a double Cavalax or a double Taros. There can be each of them. So the second one on the list, or on this same Knight's Reverence, is Tomb Lord. He also does the same thing that Cavalax does, but it's not a passive skill. It's an active skill, right? Let's see, is it A3? No, it's the A2. He relies on crits in order to place 4 poisons. Normally he places 2 poisons if you don't have 100% crit on him, or enough crits, or a crit does not land if it's a weak hit. But if it's a critical hit, he will land these 4 poisons, 5% poisons. Now, of course, this is spirit affinity, so it might be a weak hit and not crit against some magic affinity champions. So you have to take note of that. There are 2 having spirit affinity, so you have to match carefully. Then that's how many on the list? I lost count already. The next one on my list is Geomancer, of a champion in the game that you need 2 of. Now this one is a little bit different because you really don't need 2 Geomancer for any particular content in the game. The main thing that you need it for is convenience, because of the amount of damage that Geomancer does in the clan boss. A lot of people prefer to use him for the clan boss, but now we are finding out that Geomancer also does a lot of damage for the end game content, which is Doom Tower hard, not just normal now, Doom Tower hard. So building a second Geomancer is important to allow you keep your first one in the clan boss. So I currently have one Geomancer built fully for the clan boss. It was working fine for my budget unkillable team, and all of a sudden I changed my budget team to a double Maneater team, right? And I needed that Geomancer out of that clan boss, and I freed him into the Doom Tower. Now if I did not build that other second team, I might needed to build a second Geomancer, which is already at 40 or 50. So there are content right now in Doom Tower that requires you to, or it doesn't really require you, just makes it extremely easier if you have double Maneater. Double Geomancer doing their damage there. So the damage skill here that he relies on is this one. So if you have 2 Geomancer in a team, one places HP burn on this boss, one places another HP burn on this boss, on this other head, or how many champions, how many enemies you have there, or they take turns to place their HP burn. One is really all you need for a particular battle. I personally need 2, so I can keep one in the clan boss and one for general content. So he doesn't really feature any other place besides Doom Tower and the clan boss, those 2 places. And why can't you use the clan boss Geomancer in the Doom Tower, you might be asking? Is because of the clan boss speed. High-end Doom Tower battles need higher speeds, so you do not want your Geomancer sitting there waiting for his turn and everybody's going 2 turns on the boss is hitting him hard, taking numerous turns. Although you just need to place this HP burn once and maybe somebody to extend it, it just makes it easier if your Geomancer is not restricted by speed. And that's all I have to say about him. He's really, if you have 2 of him, it's not something you pray for, but if you do get him, it's not one that you chomp or just keep aside. It's something you might be using in the future. I already mentioned the one on the list that I wanted to speak about next. It is Maneater from the Ogryn tribe faction. We already know what double Maneater, so we are not going to go Here is the Ogren tribe. We're not going to go deeply into double Maneaters because we already know how useful it is. A Maneater enables you to have an unkillable team for the clan boss. That's all, the only place where he will be useful. It just gives you the ability to one key Ultra Nightmare if you can build a team around him, and maybe one key Nightmare, one key Brutal, and end game content that normally will take you a long time to build champions and stats to get. He just makes it extremely easy. So if you're a newer player, you're pulling void shards, if you get a double Maneater, don't get rid of the second one. Keep both of them. They are useful. So the skill that is useful for here, that makes it really useful for him to have that unkillable, the entire team becomes unkillable, is this one that plays block. It places unkillable buff and block debuffs for 2 turns. So that's one Maneater takes a turn, places it before it expires. The second Maneater places it again. So they take turns to make sure your team always have this unkillable buff on them the entire run. You might be asking, can't this also be used on other parts of the game? Yes, I've seen players bring this into the Doom Tower. Some content that they cannot beat, or the content just nukes them straight. With double Maneater taking turns placing that unkillable team, if you can time it correctly, it also translates to other content, also making sure that your team can't be killed. I've not seen it a lot, although, because that would be a extremely long run, and it might even be a manual run even. So a lot of people don't recommend using double Maneater on content, but the main place is the clan boss, Ultra Nightmare. So take note of this champion, keep him. You might have alternatives to other champions who have a similar skill. One I can mention is Rush Guard. I think Rush Guard has a similar skill to place unkillable for 2 turns. That is also performs like a Maneater. He can also be used. Now that's the entire list of champions I prepared that you absolutely need 2 of. Well, apart from Geomancer, which is just an optional one. Now there are some honorary mentions that I just wanted to list out there, that if you do pull 2 of these ones, you won't be so mad about it, because they are actually useful. Not as useful as these other ones we just mentioned. Surprisingly, we didn't have a lot of legendaries in this list. We have a lot of epics there, yes, and even some rares. But there are other ones that we should look out for if you do get them. Although they are no longer that important, but it's more of a flex, an end game flex, that when you have 2 of them, you build them and you use them. One I can think of is Arbiter. A lot of people get Arbiters for free, right? If you pull a second Arbiter, it automatically makes your 3v3 arena extremely useful. Also, if you're an end game player that you're pushing to plat and all that, you might build one Arbiter differently and another Arbiter differently. I'm talking about maybe immunity, maybe high speed, maybe high resistance. There are many ways. You don't want to build one just one way and have no flexibility, always using that one. So if you have a second Arbiter, that extremely makes your 3v3 team get another speed booster. There are not many other speed boosters out there, but Arbiter, we know, is the one that with our base speed that is really high. So she performs extremely well as a speed booster for your 3v3 arena team. So you can get to higher levels of 3v3 and beat other teams that have 2 speed boosters on their teams also. So you don't rely on going second on your team 2 or team 3. Another one, honorary mention, it's not that important. This is optional. Like I said, this is just a flex, is a Kaima. I didn't know this much, but when I finally put my Kaima, I didn't even show the Arbiter. I think she's high elf, right? I shouldn't even be showing your Arbiter. You know who she is. The next one is Kaima. He's from where? Demon Spawn. So I didn't know much about this champion until I got him and finally started using him. I didn't understand all the hype that was about him, but finally I understood that a Prince Kaima that goes first is one way to build him. Like I currently have mine that goes first and debuffs the enemy by putting them on sleep and removing any buffs that they have on them, especially shields and all that. I use this with tanky teams that I know that will have shields. He just goes in there and strips their shield first before my other teams can come in and even wake them up from sleep, no problem. So that's the first way I built him. Now the second way of building a Priest Kaima that I found out is in immunity, or it's something that makes him not being able to be debuffed. So even if he goes slow, he can also still do this particular skill of resetting the cooldown. So he doesn't go first in this scenario. He's just there to reset all your allies' skills when they do their first hit, and he just resets them and make them go again. So that's what he's there for. A Kai'Ma that cannot be debuffed, just there to do this reset, and one that can go very fast to remove buffs that the enemy has placed on them. So that's one that if you have two of this champion, Prince Kai'Ma, it's not useful. You won't be saying, damn, why did I get a Prince Kai'Ma? You actually be happy that you got two of him, especially that his speed aura is 30% in arena battles, so it is extremely useful. All right, that's another second honorary mention. The third one is Duchess. Now, I still do not have Duchess on this account. I forget her faction, where she belongs to. I'm not going to look for it. But anyways, when you get a double Duchess, it makes your arena team also better, I guess. This is also for those players who are pushing higher levels of the arena, not for you that is just bottom gold for farming it daily. If you're pushing higher content, a double Duchess allows you to build high in separate ways. One that is extremely slow and have high resistance that cannot be debuffed, and one that is extremely fast, that is just there to be a menace, reviving, making sure that, you know, the enemies don't take any turn. So she's just awesome. I've seen her, I've come across her a lot, and I know there are different ways people build her, and that's one champion that if I get two of, I will build her totally. Not just for the 3v3 arena, but also for the main arena, where you want to use one in some enemies and use the other one for certain enemies. So I thought I would not ignore these other champions that we know that if you have duplicates of them, you have a great use for them. Why the other ones, the first ones I mentioned, were essential ones that are useful everywhere in the game or for some special bosses. These ones are just a flex legendary champions that if you have two of them, it won't be that of a bad idea. Let me know in the comments below which other ones I've missed, or champions that you are actually looking forward to on this list of getting two of and using. I'll see you guys in the next Raid Shadow Legends video. Before you do, click out though, hit that like button to support this channel, and hit the subscribe button if you've not done so already. That's the limited knowledge I have, and I've shared that with you of these champions that are all what I know about them. I'll see you in the comment box. Let's discuss more of them. Good night, guys.